Good morning, everyone. It's October 30th, 2018. I'm Eric. So, I'm going to talk to you today, in short, about why I talk about extinction level events. I didn't get to make the videos I wanted to yesterday. Somebody dropped the computer off to me, and I had to fix that. And one of the things about being a person who fixes computers is the straightforward way of doing the repairs rarely work. So you're forced to figure out a different solution as a result. And it's taught me to really think outside the box. I talk about extinction level events not to strike fear in the hearts of people. I talk about it so that you, the person who hears about or hears me talking, has an idea of what could happen and kind of get some sort of plan of what you might do in such an event. We've been talking quite a bit about Yellowstone, and a lot of people believe Yellowstone would be, or an eruption from Yellowstone would be an extinction level event. Now, one of my subscribers, he has this idea that everybody's going to die, right? The thing is human beings have made it through multiple extinction level events. Just because it is an extinction level event doesn't necessarily mean everyone is going, or all the stuff on the planet is going to be extinct. Now, I tried to do this video yesterday in my truck while I was waiting for my son, and my phone ran out of space. And I talked about how Noah wasn't the only, and his family wasn't the only human beings to make it through the deluge, the flood. And there were people who were on mountaintops, and the flood didn't make it that far, all the way to the mountaintops. So there is a way to survive most of these events. Now, if you're right in the epicenter, if you're in the blast zone of Yellowstone, of course you're going to die. You're going to be vaporized along with, you know, pretty much anything in that blast zone. But the people who live outside of the blast zone, they do not have to die. He talked about how, you know, if Russia nuked Yellowstone, how it would affect them, and it certainly would affect them, but if they have a way to grow food indoors, then the consequences do not outweigh the reward of getting rid of a major enemy for Russia. And we have technology now that, you know, you can rent a warehouse and start growing food vertically. So you occupy the space, you know, in an effective way. I think it would be a good business venture to get a warehouse and set it up as a vertical growing facility along with fish. Having a man-made pond with fish in it. It would be an excellent business venture because we see that the weather is changing. We're losing crops, a lot of them, as a result of this. So, somebody who has a little bit of money, a few $1,000s, maybe more than that, but not a whole lot more, they can rent a warehouse, set up an aquaponics system, and really make a good living off of that. If I had $10,000–$15,000, I think I would probably try doing that. So there's ways to survive all of these events. So it's not about being fearful, it's about being aware of the possibilities. And we haven't had an asteroid impact on this planet, at least not a major one, for a very long time. We haven't had a super volcanic eruption for a very long time. The San Andreas fault line, they keep warning about the big one, and eventually that is going to come and destroy California. So, instead of looking at channels like mine as fear-mongering channels, because it's not about fear, there's nothing really to fear. I mean, is death really something you should fear? I don't think so. I think that there are things much worse than death, like living under a repressive regime such as China, or the Israeli government. That, to me, is worse than death. Death is just as natural as being born. So, when you stumble across people talking about extinction level events and, you know, FEMA camps, guillotines, hydrogen cyanide, it's really not about scaring you. It's about preparing you. And, well, you need to be prepared. You need to be aware of the intent the ruling class has concerning the population. They've made incredible leaps and bounds in robotics and AI. So, eventually, and probably sooner rather than later, human workers are going to get replaced. And as a result, there are going to be a lot of people with a lot of idle time. They've been pushing universal basic income for a while now, and it's probably going to happen when the robots take over human occupations. Just recently, a painting done by an AI, I guess robot for lack of a better word, sold for about $500,000. So they're beginning to creep into the creative realms. And there's one that produced music, and you can't tell the difference between the human-made music and the robot-made music. So you know, all these things are coming, and we need to have some kind of idea of what we're going to do when they happen. And that's why I talk about this stuff. It's no secret that I dislike most people, but it's the real stupid people among us that really piss me off. And the brainwashed people among us that really piss me off. The NPCs. So, but there's some news. Surveillance, economic turmoil, and chaos among all nations. The globalists are getting what they wish, consolidating the resources while they tank the fiat economies and currencies of the nations. They are destroying culture who just a mere 2 centuries ago would have armed their entire male populace with swords and sent the invaders either packing or in pieces. And we do have invaders. They're called globalists. And right now, they are trying to flood, and have been, our countries with third world populations who have low IQs and no skills. What do you do with people with low IQs and no skills? Well, the middle class and the working class are then forced, and it's forced, to support these people through welfare via taxation. And there's a lot of them. Not only do we have to worry about the low IQ, no skill population that was born in this country, but we have to support the world's low IQ, no skill population who decides they want to invade our country. And it is invasion. Armed father stops shooting at Alabama McDonald's. And this happened Saturday night. That is gnarly. USGS, I already talked about this. Yellowstone supervolcano threat set to high. And I also touched upon the Chinese president telling the military to prepare for war. And there's a lot. I mean, every day more and more shit comes out that just not good news. It really isn't. And these are the things all of us are going to be left to deal with when the day comes. The Democrats are making big strides in the next election, apparently, because of the recent events, you know, the staged events. Did you know that there was a drill for just the event that took place in Pittsburgh? Yeah, they drilled for it. Why is it every time there's a drill, it seems like, or you know, much of the time, the event actually happens? We know the answer to this. The time for liberty will come, but what this author does not understand is liberty is not freedom. Liberty is not freedom. It is permission. That's what liberty is. And, hey, let's ask for permission from our controllers, right? That's what their idea of freedom is. My idea of freedom is not having to ask anyone for permission to do anything. That is freedom. Liberty is just the opposite. It's asking for freedom. And so, you know, I talk about these things so people have an idea of what's coming. That way they can prepare or getting some sort of a plan together. And of course, all plans fail to be effective once contact with the enemy happens. Right? But you should not only have one plan, you should have a bunch of plans. If one plan falls apart, you can fall back on the next one. So, I'm not trying to scare anyone. It's not about being afraid. It's about being prepared and having an idea of what you may do if Yellowstone were to erupt. If the government decides to go full authoritarian. If the ruling class decide to detonate an EMP to get rid of the evidence of their crimes. But we live in a country now where it's justified to choke or to assault and choke 11-year-old girls. And there's a video of a cop choking an 11-year-old girl, and they still claim justified, even though it proves the cop was lying about what happened. There's never any justification for harming a child. But here we are in America, the very people most of the population trusts to protect our children in schools are the very people launching assaults against children. What kind of balls does it take to harm a child? None. It takes no balls whatsoever. And it's even worse when an individual has the power of the state behind him or her, and they get away with it for that very reason. Now, I hate to say this, but if a cop choked my child, I would do everything I could to take revenge on that cop. I don't fucking care if he wears a badge. I don't care if he's backed up by the state. If he choked my child, I would take revenge. Period. But this is your country. A country that calls men, or pansy asses, who assault children, heroes. Meanwhile, our national debt is going to be 6 times the size of our economy. And this is even without changes to the current spending policy. The government spending is on an unsustainable path. By the time a child born in 2018 reaches retirement age, the United States national debt will be 6 times the size of the economy, according to an analysis released this week. We can't have photos of starving little girls from Yemen on Facebook because it might scar the people who see it. Yet there's commercials all over the fucking TV giving you a guilt trip about how there are starving children all across the planet, and they show the starving children, but for some reason you cannot see a photo of starving children on Facebook. Shots fired at Republican Party office in Daytona Beach, Florida. And this violence is just going to pick up pace. And instead of shooting at offices, they're going to be shooting people. Apple finally shuts down security flaw used by phone cracking law enforcement. And of course, law enforcement is not going to be happy about that. In a move that will anger law enforcement, Apple has succeeded in killing an exploit that allowed a third-party vendor to crack iPhones for investigators. A few months ago, Apple announced it was fixing the flaw that allowed products like GrayKey to bypass built-in security features to engage in brute force password guessing. Tom Brewster of Forbes confirms the fix is finally in. Israel quietly transferred $250 million of sophisticated spy systems to Saudi Arabia. Last fucking regime on the planet that needs that capability is fucking Saudi Arabia, and Israel for that matter. I mean, how many times has Israel been caught spying on the United States? And we're fucking supposedly an ally. But we all know what the Israelis think of Americans. They call us stupid goy. Or goyim. Fake pipe bomb charade continues. If Jeff Zucker can be believed, CNN has received another pipe bomb, which, like the previous described pipe bombs, almost certainly isn't a pipe bomb at all, but a pile of odds and ends made to resemble a pipe bomb. And this after the individual who supposedly did it is in custody. But it's not about fear, people. It's about prepare. If you're prepared, if you are prepared for something, even if it's not materially prepared, if you're prepared in your head, then you have a lot better chance than somebody who is completely blindsided by something. And this is why I go through all these different possibilities on my videos. So, I'm going to end it here. I hope you all have a good day, and after I do school with my child, I will be making more videos. Until next time, kill the state, live free.